Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the big news regarding Joe Biden and all of the fallout. On Sunday, it was announced that he was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. And you talk to some of the top experts, even somebody talking to Scarborough and liberal MSNBC, the doctors are saying, well, there is no way that they just found this out based at where the current cancer is at, the state of it, the fact that as the president of the United States, especially somebody in the context of Biden, to where you would think he was getting looked at when he was president pretty regularly. The idea that this would be something randomly coming up, especially after the release of Jake Tapper of all people. How about Jake Tapper coming out with a book talking about Biden's mental decline after gaslighting Republicans when he'd have him on CNN and say, how dare you talk about Biden like that? He has a stutter. He can't help it. And they used to always say that. We remember, this is like a huge thing within politics right now, is the cover up with Biden. And now they're saying, well, they knew about the cancer long before Biden even left office and they kept it quiet. And there's people questioning that just because of where the cancer is at right now in terms of the stage of it. And you can see this clip from CNN we're going to play with Scott Jennings talking about the cover up, and they're trying to do Trump whataboutism, which really doesn't work. But I mean, this is remarkably bad just in terms of the look of it. Because when you think about it, the Democrats and the mainstream media, they were trying to say that deep fakes of Biden struggling to walk upstairs and slurring words, they were saying all of that was fake. And then he has the June debate, and then it separates the party to where a lot of the younger people said, well, Biden needs to go. This is ridiculous. And there were still some people standing by him. That was when CNN really switched after that debate. They said, well, Biden can't win. There needs to be pressure to get rid of him. And Biden said, no, screw you. I'm staying in. And then it got to the point to where they moved on. But nobody really knows in terms of when they knew that he had this cancer. And again, it's very sad. I mean, I don't want anyone to get cancer or anything like that. I hope he gets better. And people say, well, Biden's evil. You shouldn't wish it. Well, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and play God on this type of stuff. I do hope Biden gets better. It's nothing like that. It's more so about the cover up of it. And you can see the situation here with Scott Jennings and these liberals trying to do like, oh, Trump should take a cognitive test. What kind of self-awareness do you, I mean, you have to have the self-awareness of a rock to say, well, the whataboutism is Trump should take a cognitive test. If you compare Biden and Trump side by side, I wonder which one is more mentally capable. There was a stat that was done about Trump, the amount of questions he's taken from the media. They're trying to spin it now like, oh, Trump is this dictator. He's suing over 60 Minutes. He doesn't like, Trump has offered the media more access than any president in U.S. history. And it's shown by the stats. And so Trump takes all these questions every single day off the riff, just randomly. Then he'll ban a reporter or whatever because they do something crazy, and then it's like he's this dictator. He's taken more questions than anyone from liberal media sources. Sometimes I know she shuts down Caitlin Collins, but still he takes questions from them. But let's see, it's like they're talking about a cognitive. If you're a Democrat, you should say, listen, in 2020 we had a horrible bench. We had, I mean, you look at the state of their primary. It was a bunch of establishment people. Biden had the most name recognition. They forced all the others to drop out and endorse Biden so he could beat Bernie Sanders. And Biden, it was less than ideal. They didn't want to do that with Biden. He was already ridiculously old at the time. Biden wanted to run in 2016, but Obama said, no, it's Hillary's turn, even though Biden was the VP to Obama. And then Biden ran in 2020 to try and make up for it. But at that point, he's too old. And so it's like a square peg into a round hole. Liberals should just say, we wanted Trump out. Biden had the most name recognition, and he was the most recognizable out of anyone. And he's a career politician. He's got a history. You could get Obama to go out and campaign for him easier. He was the VP for 8 years. It wasn't an ideal situation. But instead they do this thing to where it's like, no, Biden was great, and they do all the fake stuff about, oh, the infrastructure deal and all this. Meanwhile, you look at the actual details on it. I mean, this is like a 2021, 2022 infrastructure deal. Nancy Pelosi is telling Biden, get him out of the room. He can't properly function. We're negotiating this. That's how bad it was with Biden in 2021 and 2022. He was gone from the start. So this is a huge thing. And this just goes to show you, it's like, the whataboutism. What about the Qatar plane? What about all this stuff like January 6th? Well, what about lying for 4 years about someone? I mean, it's a shadow government. There's no way Biden did anything. I know there's talk about auto pen and all this stuff. Apparently, it's very hard to get that overturned. I don't know, but the auto pen pardons and things like that, you can say, well, Biden didn't have anything to do with them or he didn't know. I think there were a lot of things that happened within the administration that were signed off on by Biden that he just couldn't mentally comprehend. And so let's see what this is.
Are you arguing that Joe Biden was fine during his
I'm not arguing that he was fine. I'm arguing that
you keep pivoting back to Trump, who's clearly fine. I'm just asking you if you're arguing that something was not wrong with Joe Biden.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because Joe Biden is no longer the president.
But he was, and that's the story tonight.
Stop. Let me finish.
Yeah, but let me just say the context of this. Lady, we just had, this is CNN. One of the big time anchors there just released a book talking about his mental decline. How does that relate to Trump? This is a conversation, but yeah, Biden's not the president right now. We know that. And nobody's discussed Biden. I haven't talked about Biden in months. But there's all this stuff that's come out. So it's like, all right, I'll do a video. And they're doing a roundtable. They've been talking about Biden all week because the precarious timing. They announced he has cancer right after the book release on how mentally incapable Biden was, and now all the Democrats are turning on Biden, and there's all these quotes saying how he never should have been in the first place, and they also the other cope thing with Kamala Harris, oh, he didn't give her enough time. He should have dropped out earlier. When, I mean, you had top Democrats saying, this is back in March, they said, well, Kamala Harris is so bad, they may have to replace Kamala Harris because she was dragging Biden down. That's what they originally thought, but then they wanted to do this revisionist history. They should have just given Kamala Harris more time. Kamala Harris was never going to win anything. She was a horrible candidate. It wasn't going to happen. You give her May, you give her March, you give her February, no matter when she enters, when it's her, she's not winning. She wasn't going to beat Trump. And I'm not saying, I mean, Trump is divisive himself, but Trump had rebuilt himself to a degree. And you've got someone like Harris who, you go back to 2020, they've tried to do the revisionist history on that. Remember when Biden had to pick Harris and he was forced during the interviews? They're like, you better pick a black woman. This is right during BLM and George Floyd. You bet. That's what they said to him in an interview. And he's like, oh, okay. They told him that. And he had no choice. He's like, I have to pick her. And so she shouldn't have even been VP, but that's known. It's in interviews. They try and deny it. There's interviews of it to where they're like, you better pick a black woman. During the BLM stuff, really? You think that he wasn't forced to do that? Seriously? That's just off topic. Let's just get into this.
Let me finish what I'm saying, guys. Let me finish something. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. I would dearly love to see a cognitive test from him, because as somebody who's lived in the New York media market for the last 40 years, I can tell you that the Donald Trump that I knew in the 80s is not the Donald Trump that I hear today.
So
oh my goodness, it's breaking news. Donald Trump has changed over the span of 4 decades. Oh, we didn't know. We didn't know Donald Trump. But it's like, come on. And by the way, I thought Trump already took a physical and passed it and aced it. And again, it's like, you're going to say Trump has cognitive. This is the typical deflect. There's no accountability. Oh, but what about Trump? What do you mean, what about him? Let's compare Trump and Biden when they debated. Who do you think was more mentally capable? Are we really doing this? Come on. Is there no accountability with them to where it just has to be the whataboutism on Trump, which doesn't even work because Trump is way more mentally capable? And there's not even any top Democrats. This is like this one-off lady on CNN trying to argue it. There's not even top Democrats saying there's anything wrong with Trump's mental fitness right now that I've seen. Because there's nothing there. You're grasping at straws. I mean, yeah, Trump is older, but he's definitely still mentally capable. That's why the press asks him questions. He's constantly out doing. I mean, they hid Biden to where how many press conferences did Biden have? How many times was Biden even exposed to questions the last 2 years of his presidency? It was like a maybe about 5 or 6 times total, maybe even less than that. Because I really don't. I can't remember. Well, it got to the point to where when he removed himself, he was just completely out of public light by July when he dropped out. But let's see the end of this.
The cover-up is Trump.
My answer is...
Your answer to every question is Trump.
My answer is
the cover-up is the story tonight.
The president
That's the story.
Yes, the cover-up is also the president of the United States, who happens to be Donald J. Trump today, is not... Yeah, you could laugh all you want.
I am definitely laughing.
You know why you're laughing? Because you don't want to...
We're going to...
Well, I just don't understand. Here's it. Oh, this is still. See, I don't like when they add edits. We don't need the edits.
No, we're not laughing. You don't want to answer the question, Scott.
Yeah.
You're president.
What question?
Julie, we're going to leave it there.
I'd love to see his cognitive test. I'd love to see his
sure
physical
he'd be
test.
fine.
Dr.
I'm
Grasso.
sure he would, right.
But I don't know. You want to see his cognitive test? I don't understand. I guess it's whataboutism to try and deflect off of the Democrats' incompetence to where they hid Biden and he had some serious health problems that they didn't tell the general public about. And the media is trying to play this game where they're acting dumb. You could see Biden. I mean, you can only hide him a certain amount. I mean, the president, you've got to make public appearances. You got to give some speeches. It was clear Biden was not running the country, or it was a very limited capacity. And that's what we would honestly hope, because if he was running the country, that would be a genuinely scary thing. I mean, they said he went to bed at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember they started saying that? So with like, there's just no way. He's just not mentally there. So this is like a way bigger thing than any of the stuff that Trump has, to where they're blatantly lying, likely over multiple years, possibly the entirety of the presidency, about Biden's health and about his mental fitness. And now even it's gotten so bad, you've got Jake Tapper calling it out and saying, I want to cash in with a book. And so that's how bad it's gotten for them. And their only response is, well, Trump should take a cognitive test. Why would you? I mean, Trump would ace anything. It's like Trump is fine. Trump answers questions every day. He just passed 2 physicals with flying colors. It's the deflection. It's a total deflection. Go watch Trump debate Biden and see who do you think is more mentally capable. But this is not even something we should be talking about, this Trump versus Biden. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Biden dropped out. Then they ran Kamala and Trump won. The point here is there's a lot of lying going on within the last Democrat regime. And it's coming to the forefront. And now even, I mean, Scarborough has this doctor on who's like, yeah, I got to admit, there's no way based on this diagnosis, the stuff that I've seen and the way that the prostate cancer works, this is something that should have been, we would figure, especially with the president and his health, this would be something that would be learned about significantly before this. And now even Democrats are, and even CNN people are like, wait a second, you know, our guy Jake Tapper releases this book on him being not all there, and the Democrats covering it up, and now we get the report of cancer maybe as a deflection. So now they're even saying it. So that's how bad it's gotten with this Biden cover-up stuff. And I mean, JD Vance said a statement about it, and they tried to do the holier than thou. Oh, I mean, look at this. You know, this is another thing. You've got a Democrat saying it's a staged event. Libtards are so brain broken by this. Yeah, this is a good point. And that event, the Butler event, the assassination attempt, really destroyed a lot of liberals. They couldn't really compute or realize, I guess, because, you know, that's one of the best moments in U.S. presidential history. And when you have something like that, and when it's on camera, and with liberals, I mean, Trump is the worst thing in history. He's the most hated man for a lot of these people in political history since they've been alive. Many liberals hate Trump the most out of anyone, you know, within American politics. And so for that heroic moment to happen to Trump, there's just the amount of cope that had to have been going on. And a lot of them still think it's staged. They can't believe it. They can't process it because it's such an epic moment. And it's like their brain is so like, no, this can't be. It can't be this. And that's why they start responding. They act like 5-year-olds. And then, you know, the poor guy that dies, they're like making fun of it. It's all just terrible. But yeah, this is another good point in terms of this event, to where a lot of them do still believe. I mean, it's like 34% said it was staged, and then 52% said, well, they wish the bullet had connected. And that's the other thing with, like, you compare Biden and Trump and the health stuff, but I don't really, I don't get into that. I hope Biden's okay. But obviously we know the stuff with Trump. If Trump's head would have been blown off, a lot of them would have been very happy with that. It is what it is. It's the reality. And they're trying to come up with excuses. You know, you have these talk shows where they gotta say something. Trump should take a cognitive test. What about your news anchor writing a book about Biden just having horrible mental fitness, and then the stuff about the cancer that's come out? Do you have anything to say for that? Or like what do you? This is not even a response. It's not even a comeback. But I mean, I guess they have to come up with something. How about some accountability? This is what Democrats should say. Look, We wanted to get Trump out. We viewed him as a huge threat. We had to get we had a horrible bench in 2020. We have a terrible party. We admit it. So we had to get someone. We got Biden. The election with all the mail-ins, we win. And then, Biden had some serious health problems, but we're just a blob. I mean, that's the Democratic Party. They're a blob. They don't have a figurehead. They're just this giant blob of people. And they were just a total blob under Biden. You think Biden is really calling the shots? Honestly, nobody thinks that, or nobody hopes that. If he was, with his mental fitness at the time, I think it'd be a big, big issue. It's like with Biden, you listen to him speak, you wonder if he really, what is Biden's vision for America? Someone should have just asked him that during his presidency, and what would his answer be? I think it'd be conjumbled garbage that probably some answer that doesn't make sense and is incoherent. I mean, that's just where Biden was. I don't think Biden was running anything. It would be scary if he was. And, it just happens with age. Some people age badly. And so, listen, we'll see what happens in terms of this stuff. But, people are talking about a big cover-up when it comes to Biden. And Trump was talking about it. Vance was talking about it. And so we'll have to see what happens there. But either way, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you like down below. Also, follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.